Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Rhiannon, and today's video is going to be a witchy tag. Now, I have not done a witchy tag in so long. I honestly think the last one I did was way back in the summer, and it was the paranormal tag. I did 2 of them. So if you want to check out my last few tags, I'll have the playlist in the description below. But I did want to get back into the witchy tags just because I just discovered that Kellyanne Maddox had created a tag called the Happy Witch tag. And I'm really super excited about it. I love witchy tags. I find it so much fun. I find it really great to really dive into things and start thinking about things that you may have not thought about in your own practice unless you were prompted to do so. So let's get into it. And may I note, she uses this word called fizzy when she refers to magic and how she feels about it. And I have to say that I absolutely adore that term. I think she made me fall in love with her for another witchy fellow practitioner. She is now my one witch that I'm looking up to on YouTube. Just like the thought forms that come out of her are amazing, and definitely check out her video. I'll have it linked down in the description box below, and you can watch her original video and get the tag questions as well. And if you'd like to, definitely chime in on the conversation over here so that we can all start talking about our own practices and what makes us happy in our witchcraft. Because that's what makes these tags fun, is if you guys actually participate in these things and join the conversation. So let's get into it. Also, I did want to note that I have been working really hard on upgrading my website. I know there's been a lot of confusion over the branding names and everything like that, and I've changed it so many times. I'm so sorry, you guys, but I would not allow myself to have this name for the longest time. I had to work through some stuff in my mind to allow myself to have the name that I would like to call my brand, to call my practice. And I've done a lot of work over the months, and I've decided to finally settle on Arcane Rituals. And it's really the thing that makes me feel most connected to my practice, is the arcane old ways of doing things. And ritual has always been a huge part of my life and a huge part of my practice in general, even way before I was even a witch or consider calling myself one. So that is my new name on YouTube, here on Instagram as well. So my main page is arcane.rituals, and then my shop page is arcanerituals.shop. So if you do want to look on my web shop, that is where I'll have all of my product posts on there and recipes. And then on my other page, Arcane Rituals, is going to be all about my pagan witchcraft journey. The main videos that I do on here will be all the stuff that I feature on that channel on there. Will be all the stuff that I feature on that Instagram. I can't talk. I also wanted to show you guys that I have 2 new products that will be going up soon on my shop once I've launched it. One is an oil, which is a dedication oil to Bridget, and I'll give you guys a few shots of this separately here. So this is my most favorite oil I've ever made for a goddess. I really feel the fire and the water energy in here. And as you guys may know, water and fire are very sacred to Bridget, as well as the liminal spaces. So this is her oil. Then I also have another product here. It is very potent. Don't worry, it will not stain your skin. This is a rose water / hibiscus facial spray. There's evening primrose, rose water, and hibiscus petals in here, and they have brewed, and it turns this really beautiful dragon's blood color. I'm obsessed. So this will be up on my shop pretty soon as well. It'll come with a sprayer, and you can mist your face, and it'll be part of your beauty routine if you really enjoy beauty ritual and all of that in natural skincare products. I do find it to be very ritualistic as well. And I do use this as a refreshing spray during my rituals when I feel like I need to pick up and just refresh my face. Definitely check those out. The ritual oils are all $22. So the ritual oils are $22 and the ritual spray or facial sprays are 15, I believe. So definitely check that down in the link below. Once it's live, I will put a description in the description box so you know that the website's live. With all of that, let's get into this video before this turns into a giant commercial, because I don't know. I feel a little rambly today. Also, you guys, I'm trying a new setup. Let me know what you think about this. I was feeling like I really wanted to be immersed in my plants. I don't have a whole lot yet, but my partner's mom got us these houseplants for our table, and I think they're super duper cute. And I just like the look when you're watching a YouTube video when the person is like immersed in a sea of foliage. I don't know what it is, but it just gets me happy. And yeah, let me know. Do you like this setup? Do you want me to try a few different other things? I am actually trying to film in my living room. We had recently just repainted everything and got rid of some old furniture, got some new stuff from Christmas, and this is our new setup. So if you want to see a quick peek around, so we have orange walls now, which I am absolutely obsessed with. I want to try to film in front of this wall soon. And then, of course, my favorite part of the entire living room is this wall. I need to learn how to film in front of this so we can have that in the background because it's beautiful. Okay, so the first question here is, what makes you happiest about the fact that you're a witch? And let me just say, I absolutely adore this question. So what makes me the happiest about knowing that I'm a witch or being a witch is, one, is having that alternative way of just being able to dip into a different tool belt of tools to solve things in my life. I believe Kellyanne touched on this in her questions as well, somewhere around these. And for me, it's just having that extra option when I've gone through all of the mundane, practical things in life, and it's still not really working out the way I would like. Being able to tap into a different set of tools to solve the issue at hand is just really empowering for me, and for me it also really helps me hone in on myself and focus a little bit better. Being a Gemini and all air in all of my signs, it's really hard for me sometimes to come back down out of the mind and into my body and really take action in a lot of things. So for me, it really helps to cement myself into a physical practice and get whatever it is that I need to solve or whatever it is I need to connect with into the physical. So, question number 2 is, which practice do you tend to enjoy most in your witchcraft, and why? What practice do I tend to enjoy in my practice, and why? So I'm assuming it's, I would say, diving into herbology. Before, I would say it'd be candle magic and anything that stemmed around any type of spell working. But for me lately, as I'm diving into my herbalism courses online, I'm really finding it fascinating to dive into the folklore that is online and in books all about plants and herbs and the tinctures you can make, the salves, and how you can incorporate that into your witchcraft practice as a spiritual practice as well. And it's really like pushed me towards more kitchen witchcraft as well, where I'm really imbuing my food with the energy that I would like to manifest into my life, and I'm ingesting that into my body and having it manifest in that way. I find it really fascinating to learn all of that kind of stuff. So definitely herbalism. How have you changed in positive ways as a result of practicing the craft? So as many of you may not know, I was actually very unconfident as a child. I was very mousy and shy and unsure of myself, and as most people are as kids, but for myself it was to another extent. Like my grandmother once, I love her, she's amazing, so no one give her any hate, she's amazing. However, she did get really fed up with me one time. We were in like Winners, and it was like the middle of a Christmas rush, and she wanted me to tell her where to find something, and I could not for the life of me even muster to even walk across the hall to go talk to her, let alone interrupt her. and she kept pushing me to go like talk to this lady and just ask anyone in that area if they knew where this thing was, because she wanted to go home and she was getting very tired. And I was just so shy, and she actually yelled at me in front of like this huge crowd of strangers. And I totally get where she was coming from. She was exhausted. She was up like really early, and she was older. So I totally get her frustration. And for me, it kind of like made me have to like turn to an alternative self. So I kind of made up this alternative ego in my mind to be like, what would this person do? My ideal person who would act and portray in life perfectly, what would they do in this situation? And then I'd be able to follow suit and kind of copy what they would do. I know it sounds a little bit out there, but it's a thing. And for me, doing the practice and learning about all these different things, one, not only just keeps me really interested because I have, again, the Gemini brain. I'm constantly wanting to learn about things and expand my horizons, and I get very bored if I'm not able to constantly learn or expand and dip my toes into different subjects. But it also cemented me into my confidence in myself. It really helped me affirm that I can manifest these things into my life. I can handle anything that any situation is presented to me in any way, shape, or form. And it really gave me the confidence to step into the person who I am and to have a backbone in life. So I attribute all of that to my craft. Number 4 is, what has been the most positive result you have had from a spell or ritual? Now, a lot of people will say that they don't really talk about these types of things, the results of their spell work, and it makes sense. It's really no one's business, and that it can kind of leave room for people to interpret what the spell working was for, and normally you don't really want people to have an opinion on your spell working. But for me, it has allowed me to step outside of myself and connect to a higher power. So I know a lot of people don't work with deity in their witchcraft practice, and some do, but for me, it really helped me connect to my cultural side of my cultural lineage. So with Irish and Scottish heritage, I am of Celtic descent. It was really able to help me connect to a deity that otherwise I don't think I'd ever really think about looking into. Being raised in a Protestant home who also didn't practice much of anything. So I was feeling very removed from that, and then also being removed from my Aboriginal heritage as well. As you may or may not know, I'm also Métis, Chippewa to be exact. And I just didn't have much of a connection to anything really spiritual that I really resonated with, or even was taught about as growing up as a child. So for me, when I started researching online and looking at these other practitioners who were also religious witches, which you don't have to be, of course, but I was reading into their practices and watching their channels and seeing that they had that Irish, Celtic, Scottish lineage, and they were pulling it into their craft as a way for empowerment and spiritual growth and connection. And for me, it kind of helped me piece the two pieces together, and put two and two together. I can't talk today. And it opened up that world for me. So that's what it's done for me. It's given me the opportunity to connect better to my spiritual path. Number 5 is, how has your craft enriched the lives of others? I think for me, I'm able to read tarot for others as I'm practicing it and learning it myself. I'm able to offer insight a little bit more. I'm also able to teach people things like meditation that I'm now certified in, and teach them how to quiet their mind and help themselves with anxiety and stress. And also it teaches people that you can be more than just one thing as well. So it kind of changed my mindset and allowed me to help others see that for themselves. It helped me to be able to help people with their anxieties with meditation and, you know, with breath work and all of that kind of thing. And it's something that eventually one day I would like to do a course on and offer it on my site to be able to help other people to learn different forms of meditation, because not all meditation is suited to every person. Some people enjoy more walking meditation or like a yogic practice, or some people more enjoy something more sit down like myself with breath work and visualization, but some can't visualize. So it really depends on the person and what's best fit for them. It's like a different type of exercise. Not every exercise is going to resonate with other people. And for me, it has allowed me to help teach those things to other people so they can find a sense of calm and center for themselves. Number 6 is, what are you most looking forward to trying in your craft and why? I've dove into it a little bit, but definitely I would like to work more in the astral and look more into building my own inner world that I can then go to when I'm not able to practice outwardly. And or if I just want to have that quiet space alone where I'm able to go inward and work through the shadows of my mind and literally build an entire like city or town that is of my own. Actually, the first time I've ever heard about this was through Shadow Harvest. She has her own liminal mind on the astral plane, and it's her own inner world, and it's actually very fascinating. If I can find the video, I'll link it down below, and you guys should check it out. She's amazing, by the way. Such good videos. Sorry about the, you know, the gushing, but she's one of my favorite YouTubers on here. What do you like most about the Witchy community online and or offline? Before I was able to even be able to do this, I was wanting to connect with more pagan-minded and slash witchcraft-minded people in real life. And I was able to find a community online that did meet up a couple times a month and just hang out at a bar or went out and had barbecues and stuff like that and just chatted and could just be completely 1000% themselves. And it wasn't always centered around witchcraft and paganism, but if the topic came up, you're able to just be you. And it was like a really freeing idea for me. So I really like things like that, where you're able to reach out and feel like a physical connection with another being, whereas especially being solitary, and don't get me wrong, I love being solitary. I probably most likely will never be in a physical coven. I may do like an online one, but I don't think I'd ever be non-solitary. But just being that for so long sometimes can have its downsides, and you can feel spiritually alone sometimes, or like with your physical witchcraft practice, feel a little bit alone, or feel like you don't have anyone to reach out to for advice. So having those types of things is really positive for me. The next question is, how do you envision your craft evolving positively in the future? I'm actually hoping to do this full-time one day, is just teach about paganism and witchcraft and all those types of things online and be on YouTube forever and teach courses and speak on panels and, you know, just dive full on into this kind of stuff and really just spread education and connection and community with these subject matters that I'm talking about, and hopefully be able to develop an online coven and have that community on there where people can reach out to people and not feel like they're completely alone, especially when it comes to Celtic paganism. For me, I find it's very difficult to find a lot of information online, and there's only a few Slack channels out there that really know their stuff, and you really have to do a lot of research. So to be able to like compile resources online for that kind of stuff for people would be a huge dream of mine, to be able to make it a little bit easier to find these resources on folklore and practice, to help people reconstruct their practice, especially for people like myself who are more of a Celtic reconstructionist pagan, who also practices witchcraft. Being able to deconstruct those practices through folklore and like really ingest them and rebuild them back into like an authentic structure would be an amazing thing to be able to do, and I hope to be able to do that one day. And also be able to help people through like my apothecary services and help people with building their craft and finding what things work for them, providing people with the supplies and tools that they would like to use, and more natural products in that as well. So like skincare and beauty that are all herbally derived, and like ritual tools that are herbally derived and are made from a Celtic witch, I think would be an amazing resource because it's really thought out in terms of Celtic paganism especially. So I want to have a whole line one day of just like Celtic products like oils and sprays and all of that kind of thing for the Celtic witch, made by a Celtic witch. So last two questions is, how do you keep your witchcraft practice happy, healthy, and productive? So the first thing you really want to focus on in that sense is being able to really be in tune with yourself. And if you're not able to really connect to yourself, that's one of the first things I would suggest practicing, is really listening to yourself internally and what you're feeling. So are you feeling guilty because you're not able to practice more? Or are you just feeling completely burnt out? Like what is it there? Is it really that you're feeling guilty that you're not practicing enough? Or is it that you are just completely tapped out and burned out from all the things that life has to throw at you? You don't really want to feel guilty for putting down your practice for a while. That's one of the great things about spirituality and witchcraft, is no one's telling you what you have to do or what you can and cannot do. So if you are feeling completely spiritually tapped out, take a few days off. You know, for me, the first thing that I would run to when I'm feeling burnt out is to my practice. But if it's my practice itself that I'm feeling burnt out on, take a few days off and really assess why you're feeling like that. Are you just bored with the monotony of doing the same thing over and over again? Or are you wanting to try something new? Are you wanting to learn more? Are you feeling like you've learned all that you can in your practice and you want to dive into different avenues of your practice that you can learn about? You know, for me, I totally get being completely tapped out on something, on a subject matter, and wanting to expand on that and learn more. And, you know, it's totally okay to be able to put down one subject that you're not fully immersed on and pick it up later when you're a little bit more invested in on it, and, you know, pick up something else in the meantime and learn about something else. That's totally okay. Or, you know, put it down for like a couple weeks at a time. If you're really very busy, if you have a lot of shit on your table, don't feel bad about putting it down for a little bit and revisiting it when you have more mental clarity and more time for yourself. You don't want it to feel like you're pushing to have a practice just to have one. You want to be able to enjoy it and not be miserable at the altar or miserable when you're doing a spell, because that's not going to bring anything positive to you whatsoever. So the first thing that I always do is really tune into myself and give myself boundaries. So you have boundaries for every other person on this planet with yourself, so why not have boundaries for yourself? If you're feeling like you need some time for yourself, physically, mentally, spiritually, to do something else or to explore a different side of yourself, there's nothing wrong with being able to do that. And lastly, the last question is, what is one piece of advice you would share with other witches to help make their path more positive? So one of the main things that I definitely think is overlooked, because the craft, especially now, because it's so overly shared online, can be and seem a little bit more materialistic, and it can be like that if you enjoy it that way, but that's not what it's all about. It's all about you and your personal power. You need to learn how to control all of that first before you even touch tools. You can learn about them, but honestly, you need to learn how to meditate and to move energy and emit energy and replenish energy and push down energy that's building up too much, and like ground and center. And if you guys have not checked that out, definitely check out my videos above, all about the basics of getting into witchcraft and the things that I recommend learning first. So like grounding and centering, and what is witchcraft and what is magic. Those videos are all going to be very, very helpful. I'll have a playlist down in the description box as well. So that's really important, especially for a beginner. Before you get all like wrapped up in the materialistic things that can be really fun but are not what it's all about. Also, I think any community will have this, but toxic positivity, you may encounter it in this kind of online space, and that is something I think we definitely need to revisit all across online. It's just being toxically positive, making you feel bad about not feeling positive all the time, like you'll never manifest anything, or you're not good enough, you're not worthy, whatever. That's all bullshit. Like literally no one's positive 100% of the time. Never, no matter how practiced you are. I promise you, no one's 100% positive all the time, and if so, they're pretending to be and trying to change the script in their head, which is not always negative because that's how a lot of scripting works, but it can be advertent as well. It can also not just be trying to change the pathways in your mind and your neural pathways, it could also be kind of like negative. So it can get to a point where people are taking it more to a negative path, which can be unhealthy. And then also the gatekeeping thing is like a huge thing that really makes me angry. So nobody can tell you what you can and cannot do unless it's a closed practice. So make sure you do your research, and before you adopt anything into your practice ever, make sure that you know that it's okay for you to be doing that, and that you are not hurting any natural resources or any cultural sources as well. Some things are not always all open to you, okay? We as people sometimes think that everything is just free reign for us, especially now in this day and age in 2021, but not everything is for you and not everything is for me. And I would encourage you looking into your own cultural heritage first before just going into an eclectic path and just taking anything and everything. Now, it's okay to take different types of eclectic standpoints on certain things that are open to you. That's fine, but also crediting them to that and learning as much as you can about that. There is a certain sense of power of knowing where a practice comes from, and that's why I highly encourage people to always to look towards their cultural path and their past and their history, and learn about why a certain practice is done a certain way, the folklore behind it. And that's why I do a lot of these folklore videos as well. Those are coming up pretty soon. But there's a huge power in knowing where something comes from and knowing the history behind it. Just like, I can't remember her name. I'll put her name down here below. She's another Celtic witch. She's an Irish practicing witch, and she even like equates this to learning Irish practice. Is you may not get the whole picture, is the gist of it, if you don't know everything you can know about that culture or know everything you can about that practice. You may not be doing things properly, you may not get the results that you would like if you don't know the history, the backstory on everything, the grander picture. So for me, getting as much information as you possibly can before you put something into practice and making sure that it's culturally appropriate for you to do so is highly recommended, and I hope everyone would do that. I know not everyone does, but it's important, I think, personally, and it allows you to really truly connect to yourself and your heritage, you know? So I think it'd be beneficial and healthy for anyone and everyone to be able to start there and then kind of broad scope yourself from there. Once you have a home base of your own heritage and your own practice, you can kind of learn about other practices and increase your knowledge even further, and then see where these different practices start to relate and overlap in different cultures and from different time frames. So with that mini tangent over with, I did not expect that. That was the Happy Witch tag. I really had a lot of fun with this one, and I'm hoping to do another one very, very soon. I love Kelly Maddox. I am completely obsessed. Go check out her video. Her video is going to be in the link in the description box below as well. And then make sure you guys, as soon as I post it on Instagram, that will be up pretty soon, check out my oils and my facial spray that will be up as well. These are 100% vegan. They are 100% handmade and imbued with my intention, and they're just a really beautiful way to add to your practice. So make sure you check out my Instagram and subscribe there and follow me. Turn on the notifications so you don't miss out when I announce my website is live, because there's going to only be a very limited amount of these 2 items for the time being. And let me know if you're going to do the tag down below, or let me know your answer to any one of these questions. If you don't want to do the tag, answer them all. I would love to know and like start a dialogue with you guys about what makes you happy in your witchcraft practice. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Stay witchy, stay wicked, and have an amazing week. Bye!